For sure.
Action, अच्छा देख फिर डिस्कशन करते हैं. Interesting movie है जो भी हो.
I think I am sure
More
it's gonna
than
be in
interesting,
like
right?
someone's top 10 in Indian, or I guess.
बॉलीवुड में तो हाँ, it would be in my top 5 actually last year का.
I don't know why people liked it so much. वही कह रहा हूँ, अब discussion करना पड़ेगा.
चलो
Evidently I'm also missing something. Anyway,
चलो
बोलो.
anyway. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm starting. Hello. Welcome back to Queen is Dead. I'm Sanjeet. I have Amartya and Aryan with me. And unfortunately, Dhruv isn't here. And we discuss Dhruv's favorite
He's
actors.
flying on a jetpack. He's flying on a jetpack. That's what he's
Yeah,
doing.
jetpack. That's his favorite pastime now.
Yep.
But apart from, I don't know if Aryan is a big fan
Privileged
of
kids.
SRK. Are you a big fan of SRK or no?
I'm not. I'm a big fan of his persona.
Persona.
Like
Okay.
a lot of
Okay.
Indians.
Yeah.
काम करते करते आपकी 7 बार सर्जरी हो चुकी है. शोल्डर हिला हुआ है, नेक टूटा हुआ है, बैक फूटा हुआ है, घुटनों में चोट है, पैरों के अंगूठे हिले हुए हैं. और फिर भी मैं देख रहा हूं कई दिन से आप टीवी पर डांस कर रहे हैं, नाच रहे हैं, फैन से मिल रहे हैं.
सर
18 घंटे.
हाँ, तो आप ये सोचिए कि इतना तबीयत नासाज होने के बाद मैं बादशाह हूँ. अगर नहीं होती तो क्या होता.
But Amartya and Dhruv are like more vocal. Dhruv has been more vocal than before also. I mean, he's loved his other stuff which people haven't. I've quite grown to like his older work now more than ever. But yeah, okay.
His
So
older work is actually very interesting. That's the
so
whole.
basically we are talking about his latest release, Pathaan, which is in cinemas right now and creating box office havoc and. Basically just breaking all records, and it's touted as like the perfect comeback. So let's start with initial thoughts about like what you
Both
guys.
for the actor and the industry.
Yes. So let's start with initial thoughts. What do you guys think, Amartya? What are your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts is, I think initial thoughts will happen because my instinct was, even when I had gone to see the movie and I'd seen it the first day, and I did not realize that I was feeling a palpable sense of, I don't know, the term might be excitement. And when I finally entered to see the movie, I realized that I think, like all of India, I think I had missed watching SRK on the big screen. So when I finally saw that movie, I was already taken through a ride because it's seeing him on the screen, seeing him be what he is, seeing him be this commercial hero, kicking ass and doing everything possible, walking with a swag, but also having most of the SRK-isms which we have come to associate with him. I mean, I could recognize parts of the SRK-isms which we have come to recognize and love, and realizing that I figured out, and of course, I wasn't the only one in the theater recognizing that, because my theater was a multiplex, but you wouldn't understand it if you looked at the people dancing beside me, throwing garlands at the movie theater screen.
Nice.
The amount of time they were having fun, and that is the bigger option here, because this movie is becoming something which I had already criticized another movie about, which had been touted as a big screen experience. I know this is going to be a very weird comparison, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because this is very pertinent here. I'm comparing this with Dune for a very specific reason.
Okay.
Dune has always been compared as a big screen experience. You need to watch it in the big screen. You need to feel it. You need to feel the hugeness.
Yes.
Movie is going to be 3 times more and all that. And I didn't see the movie in the theater. And my instinct always was that the quality of a movie cannot be described due to the screen being larger and everything else. I think that applies to Doom. While I think that applies to Doom, that acknowledgement, that doesn't apply here. Because I think Pathaan is very much a big screen experience.
Mm-hmm.
because it is what we have come to describe movies in the southern belt as a mass movie, a hero movie. The
Mm-hmm.
only difference between a Vijay movie or an Ajit movie or a Rajnikant movie or a Kamal Hassan movie, the
Mm-hmm.
only an SRK movie featuring an SRK who has been off the screen for 4 years, people have been anticipating his return, and that's why a mass movie is being anticipated by almost 85% to 90% of Indians.
तो अब पठान के बनवास का टाइम खत्म हुआ।
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, irrespective of whether we like the quality or not, to some degree, people are going to be lenient on it initially. So I am fully going to acknowledge that when the movie is going to come in OTT, my rating is going to inevitably drop. I fully acknowledge that. Having said that, I love the experience of watching it in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some long ass initial thoughts.
What about you, Aryan?
So I definitely agree. I mean, the movie succeeds in huge part because of those SRKisms. But at the same time, where I fell in love with the movie even more is that there's also an acknowledgement about his growing age, about his own vanity at the same time, and how there has been a shift in the Indian socio-political landscape over the years. So there's an acknowledgement of even that from the studio that launched him in and that made his career like this, that set his career trajectory in the first place. There's an acknowledgement from the studio as well as from the actor. And I think it's that's just very beautiful. And to bring all of those nuances to this bonkers action spectacle that's meant to be fully cherished in a fully packed theater. I think there's just something very beautiful about it that most of the global audience realized back when Top Gun Maverick came out last year. And even that actor had like in the same age group from the same
Yes.
generation. Even
Yes.
that
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
posed an actor who in a way acknowledged his age and yet he was confident about his own vanity and brought that same spectacle aspect, that summer blockbuster spectacle back to the big screen, while also living up to the expectations of bringing people back to the theaters, which is something that
Bollywood needed.
we have been, yeah, which everyone needed, right? Even the audience, which now thankfully people are realizing, whether it be while actually sitting in the theater or while watching reaction videos on Instagram or social media, right? And I think what another thing, I think this might have to do with the marketing of the film and the way it was
Put out.
anticipated by
You mean
setting a
under
release
marketing?
date by setting a release date midweek on a Wednesday, right before the Republic Day. I think it's just helped the movie incredibly well because that anticipation, those social media reaction and those reaction videos of fans dancing in the theater and garlanding and all that, that
Yeah.
created even more anticipation, and you can see the numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
it
For
brought in
sure.
53 crores on a
25th
Saturday.
25th January, it earned 53
55.
crores, 55 crores.
Yeah.
26th January, it earned 70 crores. Who
Yeah,
has
which
heard a
is
second weekend increase?
yeah,
Exactly.
and it's a record. It's a record for like a Hindi release, Hindi film.
Yeah.
So it's monumental numbers anyway. Just generally, I think it on Sunday. I mean today, it's made like around 68 crores, which is I don't know, which is like another amount of
Mad lad. That's insane.
yeah. I mean it's crazy amount of money.
And
But
in a way, in so many ways, it also made me question how we, the quote unquote critics, look at movies and how we feel about their box office numbers. Because when a similar thing happened with Brahmastra, there was also, I mean, everyone was happy, right, seeing a movie
yeah,
earn well and bring back the audience to the
yeah,
theaters. But there was also bittersweet feeling that is this what we are celebrating? I mean, is this
No,
what
but
the
then
standard for?
no, but then again, it's like
Hmm.
there are a couple of factors here too, right? Because
hmm
it's what I said in the last thing in my review itself.
Hmm.
Pathaan just had to be one thing. Pathaan just had to be good.
hmm
Pathaan just had to be good. Mediocre need good. It just had to
I
be a
think
good movie.
what you're trying to say is it just had to be coherent enough to be pulled together
It
well.
just,
That's all
yeah,
it had to be, which it
that's
was.
all it had to be. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Brahmastra wasn't that. The
Yeah.
bitterness which we all had,
yeah, yeah.
was the fact
Yes.
that this movie earned money. This
Hmm.
piece of dog shit garbage earned
Arey,
money.
arey, oh my God.
This piece of dog shit garbage earned money. It's the same
Hmm.
anger we all had
This
with
is your
with
PTSD talking.
yeah. This is the same sort of kind of anger we had with Bhulbulaiya 2 as well, which was alleviated because Tabu was in it. But it's the
Hmm.
same thing. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
दोस्तों आज मार्केट में एक बहुत बड़ी बहस का मुद्दा है कि भाई जो बिजनेस फिल्म पठान का दिखाया जा रहा है वो फिल्म ने किया है या नहीं किया है। बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो ये कह रहे हैं कि ये जो बिजनेस दिखाया जा रहा है ये सही बिजनेस नहीं है। एक्चुअली निर्माता आदि चोपड़ा और हीरो एसआरके ने मिलकर बहुत सारे टिकट्स खुद ही खरीदे हैं। तो आज मैं आपको बताने की कोशिश करूंगा कि सच्चाई क्या है। एक्चुअली जो लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि भाई फिल्म पठान तो फ्लॉप हो चुकी है, जो बिजनेस दिखाया जा रहा है वो टिकट्स तो आदि चोपड़ा और एसआरके ने मिलकर खरीदे हैं, वो ना सच बोल रहे हैं ना झूठ बोल रहे हैं।
While it is great that the theatrical experience is coming back, it's a communal thing. I am
Hmm.
not a person
Yeah,
who
yeah.
wants to go to the theater always, but it's like it's a thing.
Yeah.
It should be
Unlike the
there.
two of us.
And yeah, so the point being that a movie at the end of the day, while I love the fact that a aspect of our life has resumed again, I
Mhm.
also want that the aspect be celebrated with movies which are at least good.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
there are multiple ways and angles to look at the film also. Like one is that basically it just had to be put together enough so that people could come back to cinema, which is
yes.
I guess like objective number one. But then I mean amongst the top 5 objectives would be like the Shah Rukh Khan comeback, right? Which I think he just like put back and I think it's been deliberate. I think it's been spoken out loud everywhere by I think Karan Johar that he's like Shah Rukh Khan is like consciously not making public appearances as much, not
Exactly.
going
Yeah.
on shows, just so that people can experience him more in cinemas than anywhere else. I think that he particularly hit a saturation point in the last decade from when I think post my name's I think it was the Ravan phase where he was just everywhere like and since then with every film he's just been everywhere like to its exhaustion that people in cinemas were going with such monumental expectations and films weren't living up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was all like a big case of just like too many things happening so that one film succeeds and none of them could be those successes except I think Chennai Express, which was like the big success that year, which was again broken.
Happy New Year also.
Happy New Year too, but Happy New
Yeah.
Year I think fizzled out after like a good opening, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Definitely. Yeah.
But Chennai Express was that all-time blockbuster that came out and which was eventually again broken in the same year, I think, by Chennai, by Dhoom 3, I think. It was 2013, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, that
Wow,
success
that
wasn't
movie.
even like short-lived. I mean, it was like wasn't even like long.
Which goes to say something very praiseworthy about his marketing PR thing, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
literally like
I mean,
since a
you can't.
decade.
I mean, can you really praise the marketing team here?
I mean,
Because
not the marketing
it's
team, but his own.
it's under marketing on another level.
But that's what the industry needed now. So we have seen in a lot of roundtables recently where a lot of people from the southern industry bring up this point that because a part of the reason
Yeah.
why a lot of Bollywood films haven't been doing well
Yeah.
is because these stars are everywhere. So that surprise element,
Yeah.
that anticipation is just watered down because you're seeing them on social media, you're seeing them in malls, just
Yeah.
walking randomly and hosting events. You're seeing them in every other show host, talk show, and all for promoting their films. And they're always everywhere in front of their fans. So by taking that away, I mean, I know there were a lot of other political and social angles to this as well.
I think
We
the
had
SRK thing here is that I was checking a couple of videos out before we started this podcast, and it's like even when he was promoting Rais or promoting Zero or when Harry met Sejal, He had been appearing on tons of talk shows, right? He was
Mhm.
appearing on Kapil Sharma. He was appearing on Film Companion.
On
He appeared on,
AIB podcast
he
also.
appeared on the
Yeah,
ARB
that was
podcast.
17.
17, yeah.
Yeah.
So conspicuously, he was absent here. There are a lot of reasons for that. We
Yeah.
will get into it maybe later. But it's also like, if we are going to talk about marketing, we also have to acknowledge one thing, and I'm going to sound very harsh here, but it's true. YRF's marketing hasn't been the great in 2022.
Yeah,
It
for
had
sure.
become a running gag that Shamshera was supposed to come out in August, and no poster was available of the movie until
I think
mid
this
of July.
started way
It
back
was a
since
running
they
gag,
dumped Sandeep or
right?
Vicky Farrar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Why-
think what YRF was probably banking on, this is just speculation again. I think they were just like thinking the branding of YRF was still big enough to pull in
To pull the
people,
audience.
yeah. Which I
But the
guess
problem
they
is,
were like too delusional about that.
it's
Yeah,
a tad bit, it's a tad bit delusional. Though to be fair, it's YRF. You can understand why their delusion even
I mean,
exists,
50
right?
years again, like
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the brilliant part, because for 4 years the man did not do a movie.
Yes,
Last year he only appeared in cameo roles, and even in the cameo roles, he was quote unquote the best part of those movies most of the time. So you can understand that the audience was anticipating his return. The trailer, and even a shittily made trailer. God, that Pathaan trailer was so bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, none of us even thought that it would be even average, right? We all went into the theater expecting, I mean, it's an SRK
No,
movie, so we
I
have to watch it.
expected a mid to okay movie, because I
I
liked
did
War.
not.
I liked War.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
there's a difference, right? I think I didn't enjoy War as much as most people did, because I was just generally off-put
Even I did.
by the dialogues itself when it came out. So for me, that film,
So
I was
when
like really bothered throughout the film that like the dialogues weren't working at all. Not even like a single bit. None of the, because I feel the film was packaged as a very slick Mission Impossible-esque film,
yeah.
and then you're putting in the mother emotion
Oh,
dialogues
yeah.
and patriotic dialogues. It just wasn't coming through.
I
So
think,
it could possibly, I think one this the last point that I want to make is it could
yeah.
possibly be that the actors were incapable of delivering those lines, or number two, that Siddharth Anand wasn't able to convince us that
Exactly.
those characters could deliver those lines. So for
Definitely.
me, it was like a very thin line. Like you guys can say.
I think here's the thing though. It's like when War, I remember, because of course I can only say it from my perspective, right? I saw War. I went to the theater with my mother. My mother, I am a big Hrithik Roshan fan. My mother is an even
Me
bigger
too.
Hrithik Roshan fan. Okay, so it's like you're going to the theater with a fellow Hrithik Roshan fan. So at that
Yeah.
point, you're already half sold.
Definitely.
And also, it's a Hindi commercial movie, Bollywood
True.
commercial movie. My expectations are already kind of low. It's 2019. It was already low.
Yeah.
So, and it had Tiger Shroff. My expectations were even more low. So you can understand.
No, I think before you go ahead, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Before you go ahead.
Yeah, so but when I saw that movie, I realized that it is trying to evoke a very specific type of Hollywood style, which we are very used to. And in a time when people are screaming out cultural rootedness, action movie rooted in our own culture, like Triple R or anything else, completely evoking that feeling of a Hollywood slickness, that kind of felt both a bit derivative and also kind of a tad bit ballsy, because you are risking all of it to making an ultra modern slick action movie with all of the bullshit that entire thing entails.
You're talking about Pathaan, right? Or you're talking about War?
I'm talking about War.
Yeah, okay.
That's the hilarious part is the same
Applies.
argument
Same
applies to Pathaan as well.
Even stronger with even stronger
with
sentiments,
Pathaan.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
that Hollywood slickness with that entire bullshit, all of that which entails of if people haven't seen War, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil something on it. the fact that the main villain, Tiger Shroff's character Khalid, wasn't actually Khalid at all, but another guy who has taken
Who's
Khalid's
pretending?
face and
Yes.
everything.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very
that
Iron
is
Man 3.
that is so John Woo-esque of a
Yeah.
twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is such a John Woo-esque of a twist, which, if you
Mm.
think about it, is also very reminiscent of the fact that Siddharth Anand must be a huge Mission Impossible 2 fan, because he had used
That's
so many
exactly what
bike.
I was going to
Which was
put through.
very evident. Yeah.
Yeah. He's such a
Yeah.
huge Mission Impossible fan. There are so
Mm.
many bike chases.
Yeah.
Please don't tell me there were dove shots. I don't remember the dove shots. But
No, they weren't. No dove
yeah,
shots, but
yeah, there were no dove shots. But that face-off reveal was a dead giveaway. And then you
Mm.
have this Sridhar Raghavan, right? War.
yes.
Yeah. Then you have
Yeah,
Sridhar
Sridhar.
Raghavan. Yeah, guy who wrote episodes of CID.
CID.
So you understand the pulp.
But
Yeah.
even Sriram Raghavan used to direct CID episodes back then.
Yeah. But I'm talking about Sridhar Raghavan's
Writing.
writing
Mm.
sensibility. I'm not even
Going into his
you know,
style.
yeah. And all of everything, I realized that Siddharth Anand knows how to shoot action pretty well. And
Mm.
I'm talking about it being pretty well because I unfortunately have seen Baghi 3. I unfortunately have seen Raksha Kavach Om. Those movies are not action movies. Those movies are vomit-inducing
God.
garbage. So, vomit-inducing garbage. Compared to that, what we get here is a sleek stuff. So,
Mhm.
all of the combination and everything, and compared to that, even with the smartness of the script, to a certain degree, the smartness of the script,
Cheap
not even
thrills.
smartness, yeah,
Cheap thrills.
Mm.
Yeah.
thrills delivered in a coherent manner.
Yeah. No, I
That's
think
the key thing here. Coherence is very important.
we've spoken about like the whole Hollywood-esque action thriller formula. I think both those films, like I'm talking Pathaan and War, both, they had their own unique selling points beyond the being those Hollywood-esque things. Because I feel they they actually we hadn't seen anything like that until like Bang Bang, which was like officially a remake of Night and Day.
Of Night
Then
and Day,
you
yeah.
look at War. Before War, there was nothing like that for a while.
Mhm.
And then War came in, and now we have Pathaan too. I mean, for War, the biggest selling point was you have Hrithik Roshan getting back
Exactly.
into that Greek god mode. And then you have Tiger Shroff, who people usually appreciate for his dancing skills and some of the athleticism that he
His
has.
stunts.
His stance, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the main selling point. Coming to Pathaan, the biggest selling point here was Shah Rukh Khan's comeback. And the whole film, if you look at it, it's completely meta. I think we just spoke about it like on
Yeah.
text as well. Like the whole thing, like when he's talking about
Being
like
grown up as a Pathaan.
yeah. I mean, that feels like an outsider being adopted in an industry.
Mhm.
I mean, how can you not see beyond that as being
Yeah.
like super meta about Shah Rukh Khan as a persona? Because that is
But it works because there's such a chasm beneath it all.
Mhm.
And again, I this is the main reason why I fell in love with this movie because there's a deep acknowledgement, and especially the thing that you mentioned about War, Sanjeet,
Mhm.
those were the exact flaws I had with Pathaan throughout its first act. In
Yeah.
fact,
Yeah.
Amartya and I had this conversation offline
Uh-huh.
that I genuinely thought the first half of the movie was sloppy. And
Oh, yeah.
the dialogues not
is.
feeling
It was very
coherent
sloppy.
with the
It
world
is.
building with this
Very
entire
sloppy.
sleek aspect.
You know,
That
just
was
one bit of interjection before you continue. Me and my
Sure.
friends were laughing throughout at the dialogues because we
Exactly,
weren't taking the film
exactly.
seriously at all because we were like, okay,
Same.
that one guy, and this is my other friend who doesn't understand it. He's Italian, right? He's watching the subtitles where like
Mhm.
one character says, "What are you looking at?" I mean, when the doctor is looking at the brain tumor, cancer thing. That's my cancer. That's not Instagram girls that you're looking. Whatever. And that's like so like utterly funny. Like it's so beyond silly. I feel it's not even taking itself seriously. So I mean, yeah. Now you can continue. But I just wanted to tell you that.
No, it's the same thing that even I understand that Siddharth Anand does have that knack for shooting action well with that over energized style, right? But I don't know what the intention was, but just to supposedly cover up the shitty CGI, you are just editing the shit
Oh
out
yeah,
of it.
he's just cutting
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay if the CGI is a bit iffy, which I wouldn't have had a problem with actually.
It wasn't a bit iffy. It was iffy. There is no
And the
big
problem
here.
is
It
the
was
editing.
easy.
The editing cutting
Exactly.
like this
The
doesn't make
editing
it
was
frenzy
more
either.
the editing exactly. The editing was more distracting.
Yeah.
Usse acha, even if the CGI would have been a bit iffy, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
had a problem with that. But when you're creating this style, when the action hand-to-hand combat
Yeah.
sequences are edited and choreographed this well, you're in a way betraying your audience and
Yeah. Yeah.
audience's intellect by sloppily cutting this way by giving everyone a headache when
But
you're coming to the chase sequences.
yeah, but here's
Correct.
Because
here's
it feels like two
yeah,
different films.
yeah. But
But
here's the
mhm.
two different film aspect. I will completely agree with you because
Hmm.
it's very frustrating. You are saying
Hmm.
that action sequences are spectacular, but the VFX is shit, which is
Hmm.
like okay, but how do you distinguish that?
Hmm.
How are you going to distinguish that?
But
But
the fact that we're distinguishing in itself goes to say
yeah,
that it's
exactly.
sloppily put
It's
together,
sloppily
right?
put
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now,
but
even the screenplay, how it shifts to flashback, and then a flashback within a
Hmm.
flashback isn't even like
Yeah.
making like attempt to make it like understandable. I'm not talking about
Hmm.
myself because I was understanding, but it's generally so convoluted to a point that you are like, okay, it's going there, but there is no like, I mean, there is intent for sure, but there is not much effort put into it. That's what I felt. And the action bits that you're talking about, I think the opening action set piece was really well put together. I'm not
opening
talking about the
action set
editing. It
opening
was
action
just
set piece was opening action entire sequence was fantastic.
it was fun, but by the end, it was just so exhaustingly put together that I wasn't enjoying it. Like I'm talking about the
The final
bike race and the hand-to-hand combat at the end, because it just felt like it doesn't have. Okay, one more thing that I really want to put out there is when you see like action, like right when you saw Kabir and Khalid doing action in war, both of those characters had personality to their action. You saw an action sequence with Khalid separately, and then with Hrithik Roshan's Kabir separately.
yeah, you
And
mean
when they come together, there was a good coherence and like a storytelling which comes together,
you are
right?
talking about the physicality of their
Yes,
performances. Yeah,
yes. So when I'm towards the end of Pathaan, I didn't see any specific trait from Shah Rukh Khan's Pathaan coming into his character in that action set piece. It just felt so exhausting, but because I wasn't okay. It
no,
could have been like it could
I'll
have been
disagree.
like one second, one second.
Disagree with you a tad
One
bit there, but okay, continue.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying is like let's say John Abraham had that brute strength, right?
Hmm.
Shah Rukh Khan could have been that nimbly guy who's just like fast, right?
But he is,
But
right?
he
He
is not
is
because
exactly.
I thought he was just getting beaten up more than he wasn't like on par with John Abraham. Which
But
Yeah, but
that's
that's
the
the point.
which
point.
one second.
That's why I said
One
there's
second.
a
I'm coming to
okay.
that. I'm coming to that, which I
Hmm.
feel is a positive in a way
Hmm.
because I'm seeing my protagonist not being like on top of his game.
Yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
old. I get those
Hmm.
points,
Wearing off
but it
his
just
age.
wasn't like how do I
Hmm.
say without making it just wasn't fun enough for me by the end because I was just like
Hmm.
I get that he's sticking to what his heart speaks to him, but there
Hmm.
wasn't that enough how do I say flair at the end to his action set piece.
Hmm.
That was just that is something just that is what I felt, and you guys could completely disagree with me because I understand why someone would enjoy because by that point I was exhausted too, uh,
Yeah,
getting into those set pieces.
I think I can understand with the exhaustion itself because it's like
Hmm.
it at some point there is a barrage of action sequences which is
Yes.
I think that's a problem with the spy universe films in and of itself.
Mhm.
Tiger Zinda Hai's last third act is exhausting in and of itself. Too
Very,
much shit is
very.
happening.
Yes.
So that I completely get. But talking about the action set piece,
Mm-hmm.
I think it distinguishes itself because SRK's one SRK's character of Pathaan is a guy who is extremely nimble because
Mm-hmm.
he's like jumping. He's
Yes,
literally
exactly.
jumping from one place to another. He's
That's what I'm
jump.
saying. His
Yeah, he's
personality doesn't come out in the last fighting hand-to-hand combat. That's what I'm trying to put. That
yeah,
is
yeah.
why it doesn't have the flair of a good action set
Hmm.
piece.
But
So I was
I
like, then
think I can attribute also that to the fact that I think he was tired to a certain degree.
of
Hmm.
course, of course. I mean, he was stabbed also and everything for
Of the
sure.
discourse you mean or just on camera?
On camera, I
Hurry.
think.
No, but see, the thing is, again, if you rob this film of the theatrical experience and
Mm-hmm.
the political subtext, then it's honestly an average action film.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. That
For
everyone will
sure.
But
agree. I don't
but
Everyone will
see
agree.
again,
any.
I
Every
want to
sane person will
reiterate
agree.
this point that probably, unfortunately, a lot of Indians would be too distracted to look and notice,
Yes.
or the ones
Yes.
who do would be too afraid to acknowledge. And you know what people I'm referring to.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That
Yes.
this single man across decades, first in the 90s, through the same studio banner, he united the entire country through the language of love.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
through
Yeah.
an actual larger than life romantic drama.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing the same while acknowledging, with
Yeah.
the writers acknowledging the political sensitivities of the times we're
Mm-hmm.
living in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also doing that responsibly within this spy thriller espionage template
Mm-hmm.
without ever going the overt jingoism route,
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
embracing that overt
Hmm.
hyper nationalistic route. In fact, by this is what I love the most about this film. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
simple choice in a way, but it's still very praiseworthy, I feel.
Yeah.
By making both your antagonist and protagonist basically have the same character motivation of why you're turning against your own country, but
Mm-hmm.
why the villain is turning against his own country, and why the hero is still rooting and respecting his
Yeah. Yeah.
motherland.
Yeah.
Okay,
Simple
It's
stuff.
also,
Yes.
it's
because
Done
also,
this
well.
yeah,
John Abraham's character,
yeah, yeah, it's very simple stuff because
it's very simple stuff, but the way it's all being
Don't
put
tell Pratik
together.
Bora, don't tell Pratik Bora, it is very simple stuff. He is going to get very angry about it.
No,
But
but I think it's just ballsy again to
Yeah.
make your bad, larger than life villain not be affiliated to any religious bias, because
Mm-hmm.
it's been set up literally in the first 15 minutes of the film through a joke that, oh, up terrorists be corporate over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So with that you're setting this up
I mean,
that this is
I
not
mean,
a.
you call it ballsy. I still call it safe. You call it ballsy.
No, I think it is ballsy and very
I mean,
smart
it is ballsy.
because.
I mean, it is ballsy. It is ballsy
Hmm.
to a certain degree. But if you have seen MI5, you know it's not ballsy. It's like, yeah, it's like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
safe
Yeah.
enough if you think about it. Because
Hmm.
if I'm going to acknowledge that this is a Hollywood sleek type movie,
Mm-hmm.
evoking a form of Hollywood action, I
Hmm.
also have to acknowledge the movies it is very liberally referencing itself. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
it is
Completely out
referring,
there.
yeah, it's referencing MI5.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious.
It's
It's
referencing
referencing Skyfall also in a way.
it's referencing Skyfall. It is referencing very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's
In
referencing
ha, yeah,
it's
yeah,
The whole
exactly.
referencing,
mother thing
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Dimple
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
Kapadia.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Not even Dimple Kapadia, even John's character. John's character is a
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
like
Yeah. The same. Yeah. Yeah.
Silva in
Javier
that way.
Bardem.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Very similar,
referencing
yeah.
MI2 with that virus thing, which again, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Siddharth Anand, you are
Chimera.
my
Chimera.
spirit. Yes, you are my spirit animal. I have never met a person who likes MI2 more than me. I think that
Yeah.
virus
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
out
Absolutely.
there.
Before coming here, even I was thinking the same thing which Amartya is like explicitly said it. Like it feels like Siddharth Anand's favorite film was Mission Impossible 2.
MI2, yeah,
Yeah.
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 MI2,
Yeah.
and he must be like one of us who are afraid to say that MI2 is one of their favorite MI movies because it has always been acknowledged as the least
Least
of the
Yeah. Yeah.
favorite,
Yeah.
least.
but yeah, but
Plus,
then
even the main actor over here has like long hair, so there's
yeah,
this.
and it's
Oh
also
my God.
yeah, and I'm going to bring that
Yeah.
up even. And there are also hints of MI4 here too in a way because
Oh, in a lot of ways, the
yeah,
entire
Yeah. Yeah.
building and
yeah, yeah.
entering the building through that mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's also the MI4 thing which has a prison break.
Yeah. Yeah. The
MI4
opening
where
is
there is
itself how he gets
yeah, the
out, right?
opening
The whole
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fun
There's a
sequence.
yeah
And with
that
Russians itself, right?
and with Russians itself. And of
Mhm.
course, the long hair thing, it's like, okay, the long hair thing serves twofold. Number one, it shows his age.
Yes.
Number two, he looks badass in it.
Exactly.
He looks absolutely badass in it. And number three, it is also a great way to hide him and the stunt double.
Right.
It's also
I
great.
don't notice that within the first action sequence
Yeah. Yeah.
itself
Yeah.
when they
His
release
face
it
has
for this.
been CG'd on that guy, because
but again, it's like this is better than the problem I had with Ekta Tiger, Sanjeet. It's like
I realized when you told me that, when you were like, we were talking on group about like how you were like bashing, I just went and read about it, and it turns out like Salman Khan had some some problem with like nervous system or something at that point, which is why he wasn't able to do like a lot of action sequences or something like that had happened. And I think this is the year after which he took like a year's break or something, and then came back with Jai Ho,
this
because
Bajirao.
he wasn't
Right.
well. That is why he wasn't doing a lot of stunts. I think that's probably the reason for the stunt double. And
Yeah.
I mean, and you can continue like, yeah, the stunt double, which was like so super obvious.
And here it's not that obvious because number one,
Yes.
this is not a Paul Greengrass direct. This is not a
No.
Paul Greengrass movie in which shaky cam is everywhere. It's like you can actually see who is hitting who, how
Yeah.
which hand is moving where, what are the movements, how he's drop kicking opponents and everything. You can actually see stuff.
Yes.
For an action movie fan who has seen action movies, you need to understand we have very low bars. We have seen some absolute shitstorm. So you
Yes.
can understand that if we see people completely kicking the ass out of each other and we are able to understand that, we are very happy.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's
a
not
big-
Taken, right? So we're happy.
it's not Taken 3.
I'm surprised how much
9
didn't
cuts in
bring it
5
up.
seconds. Sorry,
9
what?
I'm surprised how much didn't bring Taken.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to bring Taken.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan is 57 years old. 57 years old
Liam
is doing a
Neeson.
full-fledged
Liam
action
Neeson,
movie.
yeah. And the
What is he
same
doing?
career flip also, right?
Yeah, it's the same career.
But life comes full circle, no? Like Shah Rukh Khan reinventing himself as an action hero finally, back after with Yash Raj itself, right? Like with Dar, he
Exactly.
did those. With Dar, I think he started. I think, and then
Dar,
DDLJ.
Yeah, DDLJ, I think DDLJ, he did the romantic part, I think he
Yeah.
became from DDLJ only. So
Yeah. And then basically then
But
Pathaan, I
wasn't
think.
Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman also romantic?
No, I think those will fall under social satire, right?
Those are
Raju
more
Ban Gaya.
comedy dramas, like very
Haan,
light-hearted
coming of
types.
age
Coming of
type.
age, yes.
Yeah,
He
social satire
was
too in a
doing,
way.
yeah,
Fir bhi
Kabhi
Dil
Haan
hai
Kabhi Na
Hindustani.
and all of that.
Right.
Fir bhi Dil
Kabhi
hai
Haan Kabhi Na, you
Hindustani.
can put
It's
Wake
for
Up Sid
the-
only in a nutshell for the
Definitely,
90s,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But again, see, the thing is that I understand ki it wouldn't be called ballsy in a normal political scenario abhi. But since it's been inspired by these Hollywood sleek action films, but we have to acknowledge that the reason why it's ballsy is because this is also the same film that offended people because of a color.
Yes.
Okay. So
It's easy,
Our
no?
bar,
the fact
honestly,
that
our bar for tolerance is very low. Our bar for tolerance is very low.
Yeah, that's a universal fact.
But
yeah,
I
what?
really liked how they subtly censored that entire song, right? Because it wouldn't have felt like that.
They edited it pretty
No,
well.
they just muted that word
Yeah.
whenever that shot was like juxtaposing with the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
So it was done very subtly. I think
It
it
was not
wasn't
even.
like
It wasn't even muting that, right? Because if you
Yeah.
see the actual music video and you see the song version in the movie, there are moments where there are other scenes of SRK looking at the sun or Deepika actually sunbathing and everything, completely editing that for those portions out. And I'm like, I mean, that's creative. Okay.
Oh man,
That
also
will
like
work.
we can't deny the fact how good Shah Rukh Khan looks. Shit.
No,
Oh,
but
God.
see, the
Shit,
thing
man.
is that it
Before
sets
we,
up
yeah.
it sets up its villain like this. Okay, that he's like a corporate bad guy. He doesn't have any religious bias or anything. But then, not just that,
Yeah.
it builds upon that because there's this actual one-on-one exchange between SRK and John Abrams' character, who's called Jim. And I'm
Jim.
so glad he would have like John Abrams would have looked at the screenwriters and been like, कि कोई भी नाम रख दो क्रिश्चियन बस जॉन मत रखना.
Yeah.
Jim रख देते हैं. Didn't even try, but okay. So, so the fact that they
I
build
mean, it's
upon
Jim
that,
with no surname.
when-
I mean, it's Jim with
Huh.
no surname.
Yeah,
There
I
are
mean, deliberate,
surnames
no?
here.
Very
There are
deliberate.
surnames
Jim.
here, yeah.
Huh.
Pathaan is
Yeah,
only
of course.
Pathaan.
Pathaan is only Pathaan. There aren't any surnames here.
What does that make Deepika then? Sequel के लिए setup करेंगे यार.
What was it? Rubina Mohsin? Mohsina
No.
Rubin.
Whatever.
forgot her
Rubina.
name.
The
हाँ,
name
वो
was
flashback में वो सब नहीं दिखाया, unfortunately.
Uh,
It's also fascinating that
Hmm.
that chase sequence, the way John is walking towards Pathaan, that is
Batman like.
Batman like, also Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. With the
Arey,
mask and
if you are looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
like
shield and
references, the
everything.
biggest references, whenever John's character comes on screen, there's the whole very Dune-esque soundtrack that.
Soundtrack.
yeah.
Did you notice it?
you want music, you want का music का reference. Pathaan's theme, which by the way, banger of a theme.
Yeah.
Oh, all the two songs aren't that great. Okay, the music itself isn't that great. Vishal Shekhar didn't do that well. But
Yeah.
Pathaan ka theme is a banger. And the Pathaan ka theme starts with a woman vocalizing, and then the music builds. And I can't believe I'm saying this. It's like it's a very Morricone theme. It's a very Ennio Morricone theme. And I'm like, wow, what are you trying to evoke?
Like
Okay.
Morricone but Bollywood. Like that's
Morricone was
the.
Bollywood. I'm like, what are you trying to evoke here? And then you realize the character which they're trying to show. Because if we are going to if we are going to compare the three protagonists in this spy universe, Kabir is
Don't say it.
no. I'm just comparing something else here. I'm not even going there.
Okay, Changwar.
It's like Kabir is a sleek, Kabir is the most Hollywood spy you can think about it. Is the most comparable Hollywood spy with a guy. He's also a guy who loves planning. He's a guy who doesn't have too much
More
emotion.
calculated.
More calculative, yes.
Yes. Tiger himself is a guy who's more of a family man, and I think he's more of a, he's a guy who can plan a bit, but he's also much of a show off. He's also a bit of a show off. Which, to be fair, is also reminiscent of the actors themselves.
Yeah. I mean, contextually.
Contextually. Pathaan, on the other hand, is, because this is a mass movie, this is a SRK comeback. Pathaan is an extension of SRK's different personas through the ages, because Pathaan is a guy who is flexible, nimble as an action hero, but he's also an emotional guy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
things from his heart.
You can see that vulnerability.
You can see.
when he cracks it.
That's exactly. Yeah,
and the way we are talking about it, these might sound like huge character themes. They are not. They are already.
But they're
spelled out
huge
in a
enough in this universe, right?
Yeah. They're already spelled out in a screenplay. It's not that hard, but you can understand that at least they're tried. And
Exactly.
honestly, I know this is a mean joke, and somebody gave that joke to me, and it broke my heart. But if YRF has a better spy universe than DC at this moment, the DC fan in me is just sad at this point.
Yeah.
क्या
No, I mean, but like.
क्या नसीब आ गया है हम
No,
दोनों
but see, the thing that is really beautiful is that in Ek Tha Tiger, which was more than 10 years back, you get a very oversimplified tale about love
Two spies falling in
persisting
love.
over
Yeah.
about two spies from different enemy nations, quote unquote, coming together, but it still ended up with the hero fighting off and killing off the bad guys. Okay.
Yeah.
And then in Tiger Zinda Hai, you immediately root those characters even more by accepting and acknowledging this aging actor by making him have his son. Okay. So you're already setting up that emotional, personal aspect of his life.
Yeah.
So the personal and professional overlapping over each other, that automatically created higher stakes.
Also an orphan, right?
Okay,
So-
exactly, right.
Yeah.
And in that way,
very
you
James
saw-
Bond,
you
very
you
James Bond in
saw-
that aspect, right?
you see YRF getting a hang of these sensitivities of our times.
Yeah.
And in this movie, it completely deviates from that generic narrative of Pakistan versus India or whatever. And instead, it doesn't restrict itself to any.
Does it
Of course
entirely
it-
though? Does it
It does.
entirely though?
It does when John Abrams' character in the end is like, should I change the coordinates? Oh,
I'll do Islamabad.
You're forgetting that this isn't about nation or this isn't
This is
about
about
any
money,
personal
power.
thing. Yeah. I think that one
Mhm.
scene added so much nuance, which is again very stupid to say in a
I mean, we are
espionage
digging deep. That's
spy
the
thriller.
We are
point
digging
at this
way too
point.
deep, but
But
Yeah.
yeah,
still,
I
it's
get
it's
it. Yeah.
choices like that make this film work, especially the second half. Again, comparing it
The
to Ek Tha
second half is
Tiger and
much
Tiger
better. The
Zinda Hai,
second half is much better than the first half, to be very honest with you.
definitely. See, the thing
Mm.
is that unlike majority
Man.
of other films from this genre, this
Mhm.
film doesn't milk out patriotic feelings out of soldiers and out of making you see
No, this,
how these soldiers are sacrificing their lives by manslaughter, basically.
yeah, and
Instead,
honestly, the hero doesn't scream at your face every single time, ki,
exactly, and in
Bharat
fact,
Mata ki jai and all
the
that.
most moving moment in the film comes when they are paying respect to these scientists who are even, although in a very
Mhm.
melodramatic way, but sacrificing their lives for serving this nation. So they are the soldiers in this movie that arouse that biggest pride and patriotic moment in the theater. Which again, how often do you see that, especially in 2023 in India?
Hmm.
From a
That's a bigger
mainstream
thing in
Hollywood film.
2023 in India, in a context where
Definitely.
everything is a powder keg.
Exactly.
Everything here is a powder keg, and it's
Mhm.
like, and it's how, but it's interesting too that the movie doesn't bring it. You can't call it jingoism. You
Hmm.
can't
I mean,
calling.
it isn't as much
Definitely.
as I thought it would be, to be
Yeah,
very
yeah,
honest.
it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
It's
course, it
nowhere
isn't.
near it,
It's
yeah.
nowhere
It's
near, to
nowhere,
be honest.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
because people were very scared when the announcement teaser and even the first trailer came out that Shah Rukh Khan to make his comeback is falling into the
Safe
same
bet.
trope,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
Exactly.
Shah
scale.
Rukh,
Yeah,
Hmm.
Akshay Kumar, bet.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
Hmm.
yeah. I wasn't going to bring that actor's name up, but okay.
no,
But
no,
it's
we
like,
have to know. Acknowledge.
क्यों भाई
Of
गवर्नमेंट
course.
The
एम्प्लॉय है
poster
गवर्नमेंट
boy,
एम्प्लॉय का
no.
नाम देने का क्या
Poster
जरूरत
boy of
है गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय
patriotic
है ना
movies at this point.
गवर्नमेंट
But yeah,
एम्प्लॉय है 9 to 5
yeah,
जॉब
yeah.
30 days का workload. You get the
Wakes up
idea.
at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, wakes up at 4 o'clock. You get the idea, but it's like it's also fascinating that Pathaan as a character, his backstory is also very interesting. It's so Manmohan Desai in a way that
Ah, completely.
Exactly.
he's an
Yes.
orphan who had been left
Hmm.
in a movie theater.
Yes. And nicely references also Khuda Gawa and Lavaris from
Yeah,
Prakash
like
Mehra
it.
to Mukul Anand.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can acknowledge a movie. I can acknowledge a movie for being basic as fuck and giving visceral and cheap thrills. But
Yeah,
sometimes I can acknowledge the fact that some of the meta stuff is pretty funny. That some of
yeah,
the
yeah,
meta
for
stuff is
sure.
pretty nice. Uh,
Hmm.
of course, the Kakaka Kiran joke is
Oh
huge.
man, that I
I mean,
literally cracked up. That was my highlight.
I thought that was
that
legit
was
cringe.
that was
No, I enjoyed
yeah.
it.
You can
I
see it as legit cringe, but it was
it
also
is
random as fuck and funny.
exactly because it came out of nowhere, right? You're seeing like these graphics in front of your giant screen, and it's like setting up this heist. Then this
The
joke.
I
problem
enjoyed
which
it.
I had, which I also said this with Dhruv,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
that the first half, the heist bit,
Comes out of nowhere.
it reminded me very much of Happy New Year, and that isn't
Oh,
a
I
good.
thought you. Thank God you didn't say don't do.
Yeah.
No,
And
no.
Happy New Year was like Burj Khalifa, na, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
terrace
yeah, yeah,
sequence, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
It,
I, during that entire scene when they switched to Russia, I
mm.
was like, I was just wanted to look at the executives that made Top Gun Maverick. They tried so hard not to
Not to
name
name
or
names.
mention any foreign essay enemy country, and here like they are making
Yeah,
Russia a
yeah.
scapegoat. कह रहे हैं
Yeah, yeah.
पाकिस्तान जा नहीं
Oh
सकते
yeah,
इंडिया it's like
Russia. We
it's too
have
risky.
diplomatic
रशिया तो है
relations. Yeah,
हाँ,
diplomatic
रशिया को
relations.
भेजो क्या है? Which is like wow. Geopolitics this side, entertainment this side.
that's the thrill frill thing. No, like you don't care. It's just like you go have fun and come back home with like a smile, thinking you spent your $500 on like a good thing. I mean,
I mean.
फिल्म के पटकथा की बात करूं तो भाई साहब, जब कथा नहीं है तो पटकथा कहां से आएगी? तो एक्चुअली दुनिया भर की बड़ी बड़ी फिल्मों से सीन चुराए गए हैं, उनको कॉपी करके ये स्क्रीन प्ले बनाया गया है। लेकिन इस पटकथा के कुछ दृश्यों की बात करना बहुत जरूरी है। जैसे कि हमारी रॉ एजेंसी ने दुनिया भर में सीसीटीवी कैमरा लगाए हुए हैं भाई साहब। कोई दुनिया भर में कहीं भी खड़ा हो, रॉ फौरन देख लेता है। अरे भाई साहब माफ कर दो। मतलब मजाक की भी हद होती है भाई साहब।
Floor.
YRF should just stop doing VFX. Seriously, man. Like, just generally, their VFX has
honestly,
been very tacky in general.
it's baffling to me. It's absolutely baffling to me that Shah Rukh Khan is in this movie and Red Chillies did not do the VFX.
I think it's the whole production money and all of that which Chopra has to somehow do it or whatever.
And it was also
Because-
shot during COVID, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes,
I think it was
yes.
shot during COVID. So
Yeah,
there were restraints. I acknowledge that entirely. There were restraints.
They didn't even wear sunglasses.
He wears sunglasses when he's in the helicopter.
When he's in the helicopter, when he's doing the jetpack,
तब
when he's doing the
नहीं.
He just
jetpack,
forgets it.
yeah, thoda verisimilitude डालो.
But honestly, I was down and out at that point. I was just like having fun.
I didn't
let's
even
say.
notice exactly.
Yeah.
But I think Siddharth Anand has this flaw. I think that after a point he goes so heavy on style with his action set pieces that they all start feeling similar.
The way it's edited also, how it
Because
edits to your
editing
like,
to matlab, see, I still think in the second half,
from
even
close up
that
to
entire
wide.
jetpack sequence, the editing was fine. Okay, I mean it was watchable, or maybe I just got used to it. But the thing is that
I think the latter is more likely.
when you structure your action sequences throughout your film like this, I think Studio Binder ka wo dekha tha kya video?
Which one?
When they get into all this action set pieces and at what points they come throughout the entire screenplay of RRR. So I think Siddharth Anand needs to watch that video and understand that
But
if
that
you already
way,
plateau and peak your action set
I
pieces
understand.
midway through your film,
I understand
you are
that.
going to numb your audiences.
I understand
that
that, and I
action.
think War did that much
A
better.
lot.
than
War
it
did
gets-
that much
gets-
better.
Yeah.
And Pathaan doesn't do that at all. It's just everywhere at this point.
And also, but then again, it's like War and Pathaan have a very singular difference here, which is fascinating to me because John Abraham's villain actually sometimes tended to overpower Pathaan even to a certain degree, just because of his presence. Just because of his presence. I'm not saying because of his character.
Yeah.
But it's like War actually was a movie which is like a pulpy action movie. Okay.
Yeah.
But War wasn't a Hrithik Roshan vehicle.
No. True.
Right.
Pathaan is a Shah Rukh Khan vehicle. Pathaan is his comeback movie, and the movie knows it. I'm not saying that the movie doesn't know it, but the movie just bears it out. You know, Tina Bharke and all that. And it's
Although I don't really like Siddharth Anand that much because I feel he's just like a little too narcissistic about how he directs it. But I feel he got like a lot of things right in general because I think he understands putting a project together, which I think is a bigger skill at this point because I think not many directors many directors could do that. I mean, Rohit Shetty for one can, but Rohit Shetty has his own sensibility. But I mean, someone
which he's already established through decades, right?
For sure.
Rohit Shetty ka sensibility is way more practical if you think about it. ना बहुत सारे dolly shots है, बहुत सारे stunt work है. The explosions are much more real in that regard. There are a dedicated stunt team. Siddharth Anand ka sensibility is way more CGI driven.
For sure, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's more grandeur, I think.
I think he prefers style over actually making like an emotional impact or whatever. Because one thing that he improved on actually, which I have to appreciate is, and the last two action films that he made, Bang Bang and War, I didn't like the set pieces where there was action involved using guns. Okay, here at least he makes very good use of guns, which I will really appreciate.
The camera mounted over the shotgun.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic job. Fantastic.
I think there was a similar shot in War with Tiger Shroff's entry, if I'm not wrong.
I feel
this is done better here. he
That's what I'm saying.
experimented that with war. He did that perfectly well.
Like he's doing everything John Woo, but he did the gun fu very bad in war.
Yeah.
But he did the gun fu really good in this. Like even the bits where he's using, I mean, the Shah Rukh and Salman are using guns is done actually very well. I mean,
See again that scene, the entire giving up their own lives, that entire scene where the scientists give up their life for the nation, for protecting everyone else out there. I think it's very well and thoughtfully reverse engineered because the emotions are evoked when he's walking past that corridor.
Yeah,
Okay, when Pathaan is, and you're hearing gunshots in
gunshots.
the background. Where in reality, in any patriotic film following the similar template or from the similar genre, you would often see that being glorified on screen when you would see gunshots being shot into the enemy
Agree with me.
nation
Agree
or
with me.
soldiers. Okay,
I don't know
but
if you'll
here
agree.
it's
I don't know if you will agree with me on this. In any other movie, it would have been the scene would have been the camera would have focused on Shah Rukh's face.
exactly
The glass would have been there, and then would have
blood.
heard the gunshots, and the blood would have
splattered on the.
That's
yeah.
But there, by just that little, just a simple choice of making all that off camera, by rolling that entire action scene. I don't want to call it an action scene like that, but by rolling out that entire scene off camera like that, and to trust the audience enough that just by while seeing SRK, his magnifying persona, that patriotic feeling would anyways be evoked. To trust that actor, that one man of pulling off that task, it's
Caliber,
really nice.
caliber.
After all this, you still... I still want that gas, yes. And you had better deliver.
But I really wanted to ask, like, who do you think should be like the next? What do you guys think about
SRK.
like the next thing that all three come together for?
Yeah,
or-
we haven't talked about the universe aspect, right?
Mhm.
It's
But,
a pointless discussion. I agree. But it's like,
But
But
I've
again,
been
You know,
wanting
the
to say
thing-
this one thing, which is
Yeah.
I saw this one tweet by Hansel Mehta, which basically was that Rajkumar Rao should be the antagonist facing the three guys, which I feel is a great choice because it's like out of nowhere. Like that's a very
somebody was saying Amir Khan should be the villain. I'm like, interesting.
True. Yeah, interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at a point. But see, personally, the thing that
I
interested to
also think that John Abraham ka character isn't dead because
वो तो
we
definitely
haven't found a body. He's not dead.
If they don't
Bollywood
show,
logic,
there's
no.
this rule
This is a
that
Moriarty logic, right?
Yeah. If there's
From
no
Sherlock
body,
Holmes.
if there's no body, he isn't dead. And it's
Don't
like his tattoo is also saying people will come to my funeral to see if I'm dead or not. So he's like he's not dead. Chill out.
You were
You
looking
know, the
at the
thing that I'm
tattoos.
most looking forward to is how they built upon how they build upon tweaking this template more and more. Because from what I think, this is the most responsible way in which they could have played with this entire geopolitical, socio-political aspects of the story, which it's rooted in. Okay, so from now on, like Tiger 3 is coming out when I think in November, December.
Diwali,
So,
October.
okay, November basically.
October.
So Tiger 3 has Imran Hashmi's character, who is again an
It's the
ISI.
villain, nah. Oh,
Who
okay.
is again an ISI agent.
Of course.
I just hope that they don't fall back into that same.
Janab.
And honestly, they
Ji,
really
Janab.
need to get out of this Pakistan zone.
Khairyat Janab.
Exactly, yeah. And
Yeah,
if you
okay.
want to still do it, then I mean, keep tweaking the template.
I guess this was the one patchwork kind of film in the whole
No,
universe,
the
right?
safest. I'll tell you what the safest template will be. The safest template will be what Jim's character already did, right? He created
Exactly,
an
that's-
organization. He created an organization very similar to MI5
Corporate.
Syndicate.
Corporate.
Yeah.
Just make an organization like that. Make somebody who is, Jim's higher up or somebody who is the ultimate boss or whatever. Make him
Awesome.
the
And go to
Thanos.
Russia.
Yeah, make him the Thanos. Don't say it's Russia, please, for the love of God. Don't say it's Russia. Please make him the Thanos. And if you are going to build up on a universe, start introducing that huge big baddie slowly
Already.
and steadily by sprinkling in. Don't introduce him at the tail end. You can't do that.
Yeah, then it won't be fun.
You need people to be excited. Just having Shah Rukh again appear in Tiger 3, while that is going to be fun, that can't be all it is, right? It
Mhm.
can't be. You need much more concrete connections, because if you're going to do a universe, concrete connections are necessary.
But then again, I
Hmm.
feel we are giving like
And
too
Mukherjee
much
has
thought to
left
it, because I
it.
feel they aren't giving it too much thought.
But
But
I
they
don't.
need to,
I
no,
think
no,
they
but
are
they,
giving
no,
it
no,
too much
but they
thought.
need to give it a thought now, because honestly, Pathaan ka success should tell them something.
Exactly. And
mhm.
Pathaan,
it should also
No, I
make
mean,
them like feel a bit scary in a way, because even they wouldn't have expected to set up this universe. I mean, they would have expected it because of the money,
hmm,
but still,
I mean,
I would still be
mhm,
curious to see where it eventually leads to.
hmm.
And I
But they
genuinely
really
think
did, but
Tiger
they
3 is
really
going
did.
to encash on this very well. I
Hmm.
mean, Salman Khan, obviously it would have been a success, but I think this is just going to help it a lot.
yeah, for sure,
कुछ
for
सब
sure.
obvious नहीं था. If you had asked me before in January whether it would have been obvious that a Salman Khan movie would do well in theaters or not, even I would
Hmm.
have said that I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now at this point, after Pathan's like
But yeah,
blockbuster success, I'm like,
definitely. Yeah.
Jesus
Mm,
fucking Christ.
Hmm.
And you know what worries me now, Sanjeet? What
uh,
worries me is that Jawan is also going to do well, and that is scary.
Arey, why? It
Because
should do well.
it's an Atlee movie.
No, no.
Oh my
What
god, that
how
movie is
I am
going to be
मेरे को
looking at it
epic.
देखने दो
is,
पूरा
I
फिल्म
feel the
यार फिर
anomaly
देख के
was the
पता
2022 year in general, because
Hmm.
I feel a lot of films that didn't do well um, were kind of dated, but
yeah.
Yeah.
those kind of films were also working until 2019. I feel even in 2020 we had a Thappad, which was a success. Now those films aren't going to be made. So I feel any film which is a success should be brought up, so that at least we get back into that ecosystem of just having successes and not just looking at constant
And
failure.
theater going audiences are becoming very much cognizant of their wallet, and that's why they
Yes.
are wanting
Hmm.
big screen experiences.
Yes, I
It's
mean not
Exactly.
just big screen experiences, even like the smaller films. If the big films start working, slowly the smaller films can start getting integrated in the ecosystem, and they can also start working.
they need
How
to rebuild it, right? They
That's
need to
basically how the
rebuild.
last 10 years have been, right? All the
Yeah,
smaller
yeah.
films
Hmm.
started working. I mean, along with the big films. I mean, there was like Trapped, which worked. I mean, there were like films
Mhm.
like even Ugly, which was so low budget that it made money at the end of the
Hmm.
day. So I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
we need influx of just successes in the whole ecosystem, so that by
Hmm.
the end of it, any film
Bollywood.
which is a success would eventually help out. Like
Even the
it's a
smaller films.
machine at the end, right? It
Mhm.
needs the smaller elements to work, the bigger ones as well. Yeah, and I think this is a great way to start the year. I mean, although I know Kutte is a film which was like the bigger release, which
Hey,
Huh.
hey,
which
ho,
which
ho,
is a different
ho, ho.
discussion,
It
which let's
wasn't
not
a
bring it
big
here.
It
release
wasn't that
at
big of a
all.
release, believe me.
It was
You
barely a
get what
release.
I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Okay, and now
Yeah.
we have
In
Pathaan. I
terms
mean,
of the cast and all, at least.
yes. So I feel
But
it's still a pretty good start to the year. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's better than a pretty good start, I would say. And I
Hmm.
hope we continue.
A
Even like the
hell of a
smaller
start.
films
Hmm.
start working. Like we have two more releases next week, which is the Kashyap film and the Hansal Mehta film, which I
Perverse,
hope
yeah.
should also succeed. Although I'm not so sure about the success rate, but we can hope
Hmm.
for the best.
We can hope for
Or
the
there's
best.
always going to be Shehzada.
Yeah, there's always going to be Shehzada, where
There's always
Amartya's
going to be,
favorite star. Yeah. So
yeah, there's always going to be Shahzada, which is going to fall flat on its face, because if you
no, no,
take
no. I don't think so. I
I
really
think
don't
it's
think so.
going to do
no,
like
I'll tell
at
you.
Really
least
don't.
150 crores.
Yeah, here's the problem though. Like Bhool Bhulaiya 2 worked because I don't see the Kartik Aryan charm, but evidently it's
No,
there.
but
Otherwise,
no,
why
no.
would it
No,
work?
Listen,
no, no.
listen,
It's very
listen.
much there.
We are
It's very
not
much
we are
there.
not going to talk about it, because we definitely don't understand it, and we are
Hmm.
not the
Yeah,
right
exactly.
audience for it.
We are not the right
Yeah.
or no, but
But the charm is very much there.
but
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
problem with Shahzada is not Kartik Aryan ka charm. My problem with Shahzada is the source material it is basing
No,
itself
no, no.
out
Wait,
of.
wait. I think that's a separate discussion. Let's not get into that right now, because I
Hmm.
Yeah,
feel,
exactly,
because
exactly.
it's a
Yeah, yeah.
complete different digression. Like, but I get your point. I get your point, because,
Mhm.
but let's hope
Yeah.
whatever we discuss, hopefully for the best. And
Because none of us want movies to fail, right?
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah, for
all
sure.
want movies to be
Exactly.
good. We all want movies to succeed. We all
Even
want,
Brahmastra, no? Yeah.
yeah. But at this point, look, I want
No, no.
Brahmastra to succeed.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I wanted Brahmastra to succeed if they just spent a little bit of time on the thing called the screenplay.
Yeah,
They did
and
not.
or dialogues.
And or dialogues.
Yeah.
No. If the screenplay is shit, what's the point of making good dialogues if your screenplay itself is shit? Screen Aryan, तू बता कुछ script था उस movie में?
अरे,
मैं तो
even I
already
watched
बहुत
it,
बोर
यार.
गया.
Everyone's listened to that episode who's probably going to listen to this episode. On that note, I
On
think
that note,
it's a great way to end the episode by shitting on Brahmastra, which
it's
makes
always
us.
great. It's always good to shit on Brahmastra.
Also, someone released that short film that I hope anyone documented of Siddharth Anand's reaction, like after shooting all these action sequences 2 years back, and finally him coming to learn that they'll have to reshoot Bicharam. He's like, यार इतना action sequence shoot किया, वो नहीं reshoot हो रहा, अभी ये गाना एक.
No, it's life coming at you at some point.
Yeah. No, it's
But yeah,
actually this someone else coming after you.
Yeah, let's not go there.
only
Let's
BBC
not
can
go.
go.
Perfect way
Okay.
to end, I guess.
Khatam, we are
Yeah.
cancelled after this. Anyway, okay, I think this is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting us till now. We really appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram at queensdead.filmpodcast. You can follow Amartya at Amartya25. You can follow Aryan at Aryan Talks Film. You can follow me at Pixel Baba and Pixel_Baba on Instagram. Please share it with your friends so that it reaches out to more people and helps us gain more followers. Please rate us. That also again helps us reach out to more people. Thank you so much for listening. This is the end of the episode. Khatam.
मेरे दुश्मन समझ रहे थे मैं अब कभी लौट के ना आऊंगा. एक गुमनामी का समुंदर है, उसमें ही जाके डूब जाऊंगा. अभी बाकी मेरी कहानी है, सारी दुनिया को जो सुनानी है. मुझे पहचानो, देखो मैं हूं कौन, आ रहा हूं पलट के, मैं हूं